Frustration. It can look like this. It can look like this. It could even look like this. So how do you make sure that you don't end up in the next Salty Smash montage? Let me tell you. First, let me just get this out of the way. Frustration about something that you care about is natural. It's important to hold yourself to high standards, but you also need to give yourself room for improvement. Even MKLeo, the undisputed #1 Smash player in the world, loses tournaments sometimes. Ultimately, it comes down to two things: what you've earned and what you deserve. Let's break that down. What you deserve typically is based on the amount of work that you put in. This could be the hundreds of hours that you spend in the training mode, working on your combos, working on your punish game. But anyone who's competed in a tournament or even gone online and played somebody new can tell you that just practicing doesn't get you much. What you earn is based on how you respond to the other person. Now, effort is not performed in a vacuum. Your opponent is also putting in the same time and effort. And it's up to you to adapt to what they are doing and beat them. University of Iowa wrestling coach Tom Brands was once quoted discussing a college athlete that had grinded his ass off for 4 years on whether he would be given a starter spot on the team. When asked, Coach Brands turned and said, "Well, will he have deserved it? Absolutely. But will he have earned it? That's up for him to decide." In the same way, you can't just assume that all of the work that you're putting in is going to net to wins. However, this is probably one of the biggest sources of frustration for a lot of people, myself included. Ultimately, there are two kinds of variables that play out here: things you can control and things you can't control. Now, things you can control are your effort, your mindset, and the general strategies that you employ during a match. What you can't control is your opponent and how they adapt. You can try to condition them, but there's no saying what they'll actually do. That said, there's no sense in getting mad at something you can't control, and if you can control it, there's no sense in getting mad there because, well, it's within your reach. This is often the case with the hard work versus talent argument. You can't control how much inherent talent you or your opponent has, but what you can control is the amount of work and effort that you put in. And, well, if that means you lose because your opponent is just naturally more talented than you, that means you have to put in that much more work. Oftentimes, we look towards people at the top and just assume that they got there effortlessly and naturally. However, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Especially in weightlifting, many of the people at the top started their weightlifting careers very early, as young as middle school, playing sports like football and wrestling. So by the time they step on a platform at the age of 22 or 23, they've already had 10 years of experience. Personally, I started lifting weights at the age of 19, so they would have already had me beat by 5 or 6 years before I had even started. Because of that, it would be unfair of me to assume that I could put in 5 or 6 years of work in just a short period of time. It's just not plausible. On top of that, time spent invested into something will create a base in which you can actually put in less time as years go by and still maintain or even gain small amounts of progress. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are going to be variations in your performance, day to day, week to week, month to month. A great example of this are these two videos that I'm showing you on screen now. These are a week apart, the same weight. In the first clip, I couldn't even complete 4 reps. In the second clip, I hit 5 reps pretty dang easily. Does that mean that I magically got so much stronger in just a week? Absolutely not. I had just tried attempting a weight that I hadn't earned yet, despite feeling that I could have loaded it based on how my previous progress had gone. Again, I didn't put in all of this extra work in just a week to be able to hit this. I just hadn't earned it yet. Getting cheesed by your opponent is definitely something that a lot of people struggle getting frustrated with, myself included. One thing to recognize, though, is that you haven't shown your opponent that you know the counterplay, and therefore they have no reason to respect any other option. I know that sounds super degenerate, but truthfully, that's what goes through people's heads. That being said, you need to show them that you deserve a different set of play, and just not fall into their traps. If you know that they have it, you can't get mad that they pull it off on you. And if you didn't know it was an option, give yourself a little bit of grace, and just don't fall for it the next time. Another thing that can definitely help is having rituals for before, during, and after sets and games. This could include a few training mode drills, maybe some sayings to give to yourself before a game or even during a game, and maybe a dedicated partner to play with after your tournament is done, just to let off some steam. Having these rituals is important because it will keep you grounded and consistent throughout everything. Consistency is super important because you can't judge yourself based on your worst or even your best performances. You need to judge yourself based on how you do most of the time. This will give you the most realistic perspective of what you are doing and what you need to work on. At the end of the day, only you can control the outcome of your own matches. Frustration is natural, but don't let it get to your head. You're better than that.